All right, everyone. It pains me to say that the American comic book industry is suffering quite a bit right now, and they might not even recover from this. Uh, you get to see people being laid off, you get to see comic books canceled. But the real thing which shows that the comic book industry is going to go downhill is that a lot of comic book stores are closing down. And Marvel and DC, at least Marvel, I don't think they ever looked at the client like you as the consumer. They don't care about you. They only looked as the comic book stores to be their clients and their consumers, because they are the ones that would actually buy the comic books from them. And if the comic books don't sell, then that's not Marvel's business, right? And DC also noticed recently that when they reprint a previous comic, it sells better than the new stuff they put out. So this is really astonishing and mind blowing for them, right? Because it shows that there is an interest for people to purchase comic books, but people just don't want to purchase the new stuff. And it's the same with manga. If you look at it, people purchase a lot of manga. Now, I know people like Ethan Van Sciver, they say, oh, manga is a different art form. Come on, you're taking a piece of paper with drawings and bubbles in it. Like it's pretty much the same, right? The only difference is the story. Now, okay, the art form you can say, but I don't think like someone that really likes manga would say, if this was done with a Western art style, I wouldn't read it anymore. I don't think that's the case. No, I think it's just what's being printed on it. Like the story is more interesting for people when it comes from Japan than when it comes from DC and Marvel. Now, I had this conversation with a friend of mine that is interested in doing agitprop, and we talked about communism and things that happened back then. And the reason that all of the go woke go broke thing, like Star Wars and Marvel and DC, they don't necessarily happen because they're pushing diversity in it. No, they happen because the people pushing diversity in it are talentless hacks. Like, I just talked about the fact that during communism in my time, there was this guy, Adrian Păunescu, which he was in charge of making propaganda during the communist regime. And he didn't believe in it. Like, he wasn't a communist, he wasn't a socialist, he didn't believe in it. But he was making propaganda for, and some of the works that he did were quite good. People even read it even now, even though they know it's propaganda, it's good propaganda, right? Like, for example, Dance with the Wolves, that is a propaganda movie. But it's such a good story that even now people like to read it. So you can have good propaganda, you can have like good social justice things, like look at Black Panther, even that's an established character. Like, a lot of people are joking that Black Panther is the alt-right because he's got the black ethno state, Wakanda, right? It's got a wall. It's only pure ethnical Wakandians living in it. They're anti-immigration. They have an isolationist policy, right? Like, a lot of the things that people criticize Donald Trump for wanting to do in the US are done in Wakanda. But again, like, the story is done by people that actually know what they're doing. So no, you don't. It's not because of social justice. Like, there are good social justice art out there. I could say, it happens every once in a while. But if the story is good, people are willing to look over it, right? Take for example Mad Max. The recent Mad. Well, I wasn't really that fascinated by it, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't female Ghostbusters level. It was a Star Wars level of just, but there it was. So, no, like, I'm looking at Marvel, hiring Zoe Quinn. And this is blowing my brain. It's like, why are you doing this? What is wrong with you people? Like, the way for a successful business, and this even makes sense. Like, before you got hired by Marvel, usually because either people knew about you, like, yeah, like, I can vouch for this guy. He's a very, very talented artist. I was with him in university and I saw how he draws. He's really great. Or you started your own independent comic books and then Marvel would try to steal you from them and be like, oh, like, why don't you come work for us? And then when you start working for them, you're the guy that brings the coffee, like the intern, the guy that mops the floor. And eventually you get to rise up the ranks and maybe you get to assist someone in making a comic book, and even, after that is successful, then maybe you get your own comic. With Zoe Quinn, like, I looked at her Twitter, she never showed any interest in comic books before she was hired by DC. And then she's placed in charge of a flagship title, right? Like, not even like her own comic, like, no, the flagship title. And then that entire series, in the course of a year, managed to get canceled because people didn't buy it. Sure, you might get, like, prestigious journalists talking about it, and you might get, like, there was this woman complaining that she got fired even though, like, her comic was started in the New York Times. And it's like, yeah, sure, but the readers of the New York Times aren't the same people that read comic books, turns out. They're not the ones that are going to buy your stuff. I mean, sure, the media can very easily destroy reputations and they can destroy the work of other people, but they can't promote. They can't make something that's not good into getting people to read it. So it ends up being shut down. And now Marvel is hiring Zoe Quinn. So after failure, you get hired again? Like, how does this work? In what world does this make sense from a business standpoint? This is why people keep saying get woke, go broke. It's not necessarily the wokeness that's the problem. It's the people that you hire to create said wokeness. And she's in charge of the Addams family as well. I wish her all the best. Hopefully she's going to manage to sell, but I don't think she's got what it takes. And what really surprises me, if you follow these people on the Twitter, like, you get hired by the biggest company in the world that does comic books, and you don't know anything about comic books. Man, if that happened to me, I would have started to learn. Like, I would have went to take drawing courses. I would have done my best in order to read as many comic books as possible, because you realize you've been given an opportunity. Maybe you don't like comic books. Not everyone who goes to work enjoys their job. That's true. But hey, at least you can, take advantage of this opportunity. Like, you become a famous person, and maybe that, you can eventually go and do something else that you like and use the renown because you worked at that company to slingshot your way to wherever you want to be. But they don't do that. No, instead they spend their time on the Twitter giving the middle finger and flipping the fans. And I'm not talking about Zoe Quinn. I'm talking about, like, pretty much every single person that I follow from Marvel and DC. They do this all the time. They give so much sass to the consumer. And this is, like, where the going woke, go broke again happens. Like, they go woke and they, like, this is our vision. And we don't like how this character used to be in the past, but now we're going to change it and improve it. And this is our vision, and it's for the better. And you have certain people that want to pay money and give you money, give you cash. And they're like, look, I'm not going to give you my cash because I don't like what the reimagining is. And at that point, they just flip. It's like religious people when you commit heresy in front of them and insult the Bible. It's like, you don't like it. Well, you don't like it because you're a sexist, misogynist, racist pig. It's like, oh, you think I'm a misogynist? I'm a racist? Oh, is that what you think? Well, I don't want you to not be able to sleep at night knowing that you have some racist money in your account. So therefore, I'm not going to buy your comic, right? And it's all these little things that add up. Because again, like, I was actually talking with my friend and I was pointing out, look, man, like, back in the day, during the golden era of socialism, the propaganda was actually good. Like, just listen to many of the songs that are coming from USSR. Man, they're amazing. Some of the art that the USSR managed to do, it's really great. It's purely amazing. So I can look at a piece of propaganda, understand its propaganda, understand I disagree with it, but there can still be some beauty in it. There can still be something of value there. But when I look at the new Star Wars, I generally don't see anything of value, and apparently other people don't either. Because now it's not like some angry trolls on the internet. No, like, people don't go to the cinema. The Obi-Wan movie got pulled off. The Star Wars theme park is doing horrible, because people don't want to go there. And the toys, they're filling up the shelves. The shelves in a brick and mortar store are about to collapse because of all the Star Wars toys there that no one wants to buy. So, yeah, you look at it, and there's no way to spin it. There's no way to pretend, oh, it's because of some racist bigot. No, that's bullshit. That is absolute bullshit, I can name you a dozen of propaganda films and stuff that are actually good. People actually like watching it, and they enjoy, buying that stuff, even though they might disagree with the ideology, even though they might disagree with. So yeah, like the go woke, don't go broke thing. I don't think it's about the wokeness. No, I think it's that the people who are creating it are talentless. They are placed in positions that they're not ready for. They're given too much authority, and they use that authority to, instead of promoting their work, to give the middle finger to their fans, to their own consumers. And that's the main issue. That's what I think. But let me know what you think. I'm going to look forward to reading from you guys in the comment section.